Welcome to the Oddity Shop, where the bizarre is always on sale.
Welcome in, you oddballs. I'm your curator, Kara. This is your curator, Zach. And this is the Oddity Shop podcast, where we
tell you creepy, odd, weird, strange, bizarre, unsolved mysteries and cursed item stories from around the world. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I've gone down two really big rabbit holes, and I cannot stop. I know
about
we're always in advance. At least we're past Christmas now, or we're, in the past. So this is probably blown over by the time everyone's listening, but there's two things that I can't get enough of. Have you been following the Miami Mall?
Okay, so Believing the Bizarre did an episode about it.
Of course they did.
Well, it's funny because they're usually like us. They're way in advance. But this was like transpiring. And so they were like, let's just do it now and see like what comes of it. So I did listen to their episode, but I don't know if I actually finished it. And I honestly haven't looked into anything about it.
Okay.
But it's crazy.
Basically, there's this mall in Miami where like the entire Miami police force showed up for some sort of altercation.
No sense.
It makes no sense. I mean, like in the pictures I saw, there's at least like 50 cop cars, if not more.
Yeah.
And there's like super grainy videos of everybody running out of the mall. Now, the reported story is that like younger, not kids, but like teenagers or younger adults got into an altercation with sticks.
Yes.
And that's like kind of the police version of the story. Now, but that
doesn't make sense as to why you'd have so many cops for sticks.
So then what the people who are on that camp are saying, well, it was like a gang, and they were like rival gangs who were starting a fight, and people were afraid it was going to turn into a shootout. That's kind of the one side of it, right? Whether it's kids with sticks or rival gangs. But a bunch of other people who are at the mall are saying that a portal opened up in the mall and like 7 to 10 foot aliens were walking around.
Well, and they're like weird, shadowy, like things.
Yeah. All I could think of, did you ever see the movie Odd Thomas? It's with Anton Yelchin before he passed, R.I.P.
I don't know who the hell that is.
He was, oh my God, not Spock, but the Russian guy in the newer Star Treks. He was in Charlie Bartlett. You would know him if you saw his face.
Yeah, I was going to say, I need to see him.
Or, like in that movie, like he could see like these shadowy figures that were like omens of death, but it was all around a mall too. And that like, I keep thinking that I need to do some deep. Weird. It's a really good movie. It's a book too, and it's a really good book.
What's it called?
Odd Thomas.
Odd Thomas.
Yeah, you should watch it. But I'm waiting for more information to come out on the Miami Mall. That's one.
What's your other?
Okay, American Airlines and the door flying off mid-flight that wasn't even supposed to be a door, where they like capped it, and this poor kid sitting next to it has his like shirt ripped off his body. His mom is holding on to him for dear life. Of course, this like American Airlines. So I think I've talked about it on here before, but like there's something so fascinating to me about plane disasters. Like I can't get enough.
Yeah, that and ships.
I found this podcast, actually. Emily had recommended it to me a long time ago, but as this American Airlines stuff is coming out, I started listening to it, and it's called Black Box Down. So instead of Black Hawk Down, but it's like the black box in planes.
Oh.
And it's like a similar format to like true crime or everything, but it's always plane crashes.
No.
So listen though, weird synchronicity. So last night I decided to listen to one while I was falling asleep, and they posted it.
Why would you pick that to fall asleep to?
I don't. I'm a weirdo. Okay, so they posted this episode back in June,
anything different.
But it was about these pilots from Florida who weren't used to like snowy areas, and they took off in a snowstorm, didn't de-ice enough, and basically flew into a bridge and then into the Potomac River.
Oh shit.
Okay. So
when was
today, what?
That was when?
That was in the 90s, I think.
Oh, okay.
So today, I listened to that yesterday. Yesterday for us was January 13th. Okay, so today I'm trying to I am not creative when it comes to social media. I don't know why I just try to step on your toes. I was having ChatGPT help me with a post. I was like, what are the odd things that happened on this day in history.
Oh, okay.
Like Florida Airlines Flight 90 crashes into the Potomac River. And I'm like, wait, so I pull up
That's crazy.
The podcast from last night. Like, I just listened to this last night, which was on the anniversary.
Ew.
And it's not like it was a new episode. They posted the episode on it back in June. And I'm like, what are the chances? Because also, ChatGPT gave me 4 items. Okay, what's like the chances of it only showing me? I'm sure that, January 13th has been going on every year for hundreds of years. There has to be more than 4 things that have happened. It was just such a weird coincidence. Really weird. I don't know. I've been kind of stuck on that all day. So those are the 2 things that have been taking up my time. What about you?
That's wild. I found a quote that I put on my screen because I loved it. And I'm like, every day I just keep reading it. And it says, in an age of performative cruelty, kindness is punk as fuck. Be punk as fuck. And I'm just like, you know what? Yeah.
That is so fitting for you. And yes, I love it.
All right. So I do have one thing that I need to tell you because when I was sick with COVID, I tried FaceTiming you to tell you this. And then you wanted me to tell you it after. And I was like, no, because I was like, I'll just wait for the podcast. If you need to hear it for the first time, you might as well be on the podcast. Okay.
All right.
So when I was really sick, I was in your room because I didn't want Aaron or now Delilah apparently can get sick. So I was quarantining.
For everybody else, what she says is my room is the guest room of her house that I already know that
in. We've went over this.
Well, maybe somebody's new here. I don't actually have, you weren't staying in my room instead of your husband's room because you were sick. So we live separately.
So I was in your room, okay? And at this point, I think I'd already been in there a day or 2 or something like that, whatever. Okay, so those little tchotchke things that are usually they're animals or something, or a flower, and has the strip on it where when the sun hits that little strip, it moves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So Mom collects those.
Yeah. Okay. So I have the owl. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's on the nightstand next to your bed. Okay. So I have that little owl there. Okay. Well, it was my grandma's and she had 400 of them and I kept one when she died. Cool. So I have it in there. That thing never moves. If the sun is in there, whatever. So I never see it move.
But where the nightstand is not in direct of the window.
And this was 10 o'clock at night. So anyway, I'm just sitting in there and then Delilah kept wanting to come in. So I did move one of her dog beds onto the floor in there because there's not a rug. And I was just letting her lay in there. I just wouldn't go by her. So I'm on the bed. Delilah's on the floor in her little bed. And all of a sudden she gets up. She kind of freaks out and she's staring at the nightstand, freaking out though. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, Delilah, what? And she's just staring at, I didn't know what though. Cause there's a lamp, there's a sign, whatever, and I have all my medicine up there at that point. So I'm like, what the hell? It was just really weird and out of nowhere. And I'm like, Delilah, and I look and I'm like, what are you looking at? And the fucking owl starts moving.
No.
Now this is nighttime. This is 10 o'clock at night, right? And I kind of just laugh. Now, mind you, at this point I had a fucking fever. I was delirious. So I'm staring at it and I'm like,
is that really
I'm
moving?
It's just Grandma Delilah. It's fine. And then Delilah kind of boogies on out because she's like, no. So she leaves. And I'm staring at this thing and then it's not moving. And then I'm like, yeah, you just said, is it really moving? So then I'm like, Grandma, nothing moves. But I called my grandma Nani. So I'm like, Nani? The fucking thing starts moving.
No
I'm
way.
I'm like, Nani, are you here? And it starts fucking moving. And I'm like, so then I'm delirious though. Cause I'm like, is this my fever? So I FaceTime my mom because I'm like, Mom. And I'm like, Mom, I need to tell you this really quick. And I point the camera, I'm FaceTiming her and she's looking at it. And I'm like, it's not moving. I'm not touching the thing, nothing. And then I even started moving the nightstand and it didn't move it.
Okay.
So then I'm like, Mom, and I was like, Mom, watch this. And she's watching it. And I'm like, Nani, are you here right now taking care of me? And it would fucking move. And then it would stop. And my mom was like, oh my God. And she's like, Mom, I'm here. I love you. And it starts fucking moving.
That is so cool, honestly.
So then I tried FaceTiming you because I just wanted you to see it, but you were talking to Nick. And my mom's like, God, I wish we would have recorded it. Yeah. I'm like, you know what? At that moment, I'm like, no, I wanted to FaceTime my mom. I didn't want to.
That's more for your family.
And I mean, I guess I could have, but that didn't even cross my mind. And then, all the next day when it was fucking sunny out and I opened the blinds, it didn't fucking move. moved the shelf to try to move.
I've honestly thought about it a couple times when I've stayed in there because I'm like, why do you have it right here? It's never going to hit the sunlight, but I never said that.
Well, and it's weird because my mom said you should ask Zach if he's seen it move.
No.
And then, of course, that night at 3 a.m., little owls jiggling, and I'm like, Grandma, I'm trying to fucking sleep.
I'll have to pay attention to it now.
Because then I'm obsessed with staring at it.
That's honestly really cool.
Yeah, so that was what I was... But then that's why I didn't want to tell you in the car the other day when you asked. I was like, no, I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, no, I want to tell you on the podcast the first time.
So the reason I had called Kara was for a wild story, because I remember texting you afterwards.
Oh, yeah,
like,
what is it?
Because a wild story. I have spent an entire 4 days trying to remember what it was.
You can't remember it?
No, we'll just never know.
Damn.
But are you ready for a question?
No.
And I need you to know that I wrote this question down before the story that you just told. Have you ever owned an item that you thought might be haunted? Legit, that's what's written down.
Well, I don't think that item is haunted per se, but no, I don't. Well, have I? I'm trying to think. I think I will say yes, actually, because, and I might have told this on the podcast before, but my aunt would give me those creepy porcelain dolls every year for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And I was petrified of them, but my mom would make me be nice and like think that, whatever. I really enjoy that now as a society, we are like teaching ourselves and our kids to like, if you don't like something, it's okay to speak up and be like, hey, I wouldn't use this, or I don't like it because I don't want to waste your money. I wish that was then, because I had all these fucking porcelain dolls that I had to display on a goddamn shelf in my bedroom. And I would have nightmares of them coming and killing me every night. So I think that they were fucking haunted. Oh my God, no. I did have a haunted item. Oh my God.
And
I had this fucking monkey. It was like this weird, those monkeys that were stuffed animals and they had the magnetic
you've talked
hands?
about that on here before. Yeah.
Did I?
With the
okay.
symbol monkey. Yep.
And he would move. He didn't have symbols, but he would move.
There was also follow-up. Do you think souls can be attracted to physical objects? Which, based on the story with your grandma, absolutely.
Well, yeah, and they do say that dolls, most of the time, dolls do end up being haunted because they inhabit souls, because their souls are attracted to them because they look like a human form. So they do say that that's why there is a lot of haunted dolls. So yes, I do.
Perfect.
Do you feel the most powerful and beautiful with the elements of the earth around you? Do you like one-of-a-kind jewelry? Do you sometimes feel like a woodland fairy? Me too. That's why I created Holly and Hemlock, a magical shop filled with handmade wooden jewelry and metaphysical tools. Come check out our enchanting wooden wares at www.hollyhemlock.com and join us in honoring the magic and beauty of nature with each unique creation. That's www.hollyhemlock.com.
All right, I usually have a good hook to suck you in. I'm not giving you any background on this one. We're going in dark because you know what it is, and you're going to 100% hate it. I'm so sorry, but you're probably going to figure it out pretty quickly.
I will preface for all the listeners that Zach texted me earlier and said, I'm so sorry, I love you, but you're going to fucking hate this episode. So I don't know what it is, but I already know I'm going to hate it.
You know what it is. So we're going back to 1900 in Key West, Florida.
Okay.
And on October 25th, Thomas Osgood Otto and Minnie Elizabeth Watkins welcomed their son into the world. His name is Robert Eugene Otto.
No!
And you
did not do this to me.
I loved it too when you were literally at the don't say what it is yet. But when you were saying your answer to the question, I'm like, oh, she's going to put this together real quick on the follow-up.
I'm not going to say what it is, but in my brain right now, I'm already apologizing to what it is.
There you go.
I hate you. I don't hate you. I don't hate you.
Yeah, you better stop saying that. You better start saying all the nice things.
I don't hate you. I don't hate you.
Robert's raised by wealthy parents. First few years of his life are fairly normal until his 5th birthday in 1905. Prior to his 5th birthday, his grandfather was traveling in Germany. And while out exploring, he passed by the Steiff company, which was actually one of the companies that created the first teddy bear.
Oh.
A toy company. Now, the company, obviously, they have like a ton of different kind of toys for sale. But for some reason, Robert's grandfather wouldn't accept any toy from the shelf. You see, there was one that caught his eye in particular, which was part of a window display. So it wasn't a toy that was like for resale. It was one that's created specifically for the display, which was a bunch of approximately 4 foot tall clowns and jesters.
Yikes.
So Robert Eugene Otto, for his 5th birthday, receives one of those dolls purchased by his grandfather in Germany, and Robert becomes absolutely obsessed with this thing.
Ooh.
He goes so far that he names the doll after himself and then renounces his own name. So Robert the doll is born, and Robert Eugene Otto starts to go by his middle name, shortened to Gene. So for the rest of the story, Robert is the doll, Gene is the actual living human being. I can literally see your face right now.
I'm so uncomfortable right now.
I know. But we had to cover it eventually. Come on.
I wasn't gonna.
So not only does he name this 40-inch tall doll after him, but he gives him an outfit that was also owned and worn by Gene, which is a little sailor's outfit, complete with a hat and all.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, because you said that Grandpa saw the display and it was like jesters and clowns and stuff, but Robert isn't.
He was dressed as a clown.
Oh. I got it.
Gene puts on a sailor outfit on him.
Okay, so he didn't have like clown makeup or anything. I got it.
Right. Yep. So it was just like, basically, I'm sure the dolls on the window were probably used in that window for like multiple displays, which is why you can change how they look.
I get it. I do think that Robert the doll is actually kind of cute. And I'm not even just saying that. I think he's kind of cute.
I think probably 100 years ago he was cute.
For that time.
He's looked a little rough. So anyways, though, like I said, he's about 40 inches tall. And from when Gene received him, literally 118 years ago, to this day, is still wearing that sailor outfit. Like we said, very cute doll. He looks a little bit rough now. There's like nicks and scrapes along him because he's straw filled, but covered with like almost like a felty material. Like think of the really old teddy bears. They weren't like super fluffy. They were more of like that like felt like
I know exactly what you're talking about. I think we have a picture of Robert the doll somewhere in our books.
I'm sure we could find one to post. So he has 2 hard sewn on jet black eyes, a smile that is usually in a smirk. He has this like sandy blonde hair that's kind of pushed back, but molded nose, and like it's very human looking. It's very weird. And Robert even came with his own teddy bear that he still has to this day as well. From right off the bat, though, like there was something strange about Robert. The first sign was Gene's like immediate attachment. Like I said, he gave this thing his name and then went by a different name. He took it everywhere.
But every little kid has. Dude, I'm about to be 35 in 4 days and I still have my fucking blankie.
I know, but like, okay,
I mean, I get
this
it.
is the
it's
first
just a little...
sign. It went everywhere with Gene, not just through childhood. So we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
He also talked about the doll in first person as if he weren't a toy at all, but a living human being. It went into the bathroom with him when he took a bath. The doll was tucked into bed with him at night. If the family left the house altogether, Robert went with them. Like,
I wonder what Grandpa was like. God damn it. What did I do?
Right? Like, I wish I could return this. I also feel like it's so weird because Grandpa was just walking by the store and then he was drawn to this.
To it. That actually is strange.
There's something.
That doll wanted to go home with Gene. He wanted to be Gene's.
Like, it definitely has a way of manipulating people around it, because how many times would you like go and barter for the thing on the window display?
Right.
Okay, so we talked about. Yeah, he's kind of cuddling up from bed. His lights just turned off. Okay, so we talked about it went everywhere with them, right? And Gene's talking about it like it's in first person. Those are kind of the first signs of weirdness. Then it gets a little bit more disturbing. So
it does, yeah.
At first, though, it's kind of like played off as child play, right? So whenever anything would be like a miss in the house or something broken or just out of place, Gene would always say like, Robert did it. Yeah. And, his parents just thought he was, being a kid and blaming the doll for things that he would, be getting into trouble for. So he didn't want to get in trouble. Blame the doll.
Kids are fucking creepy.
Then Gene and Robert start having full conversations with one another, which was heard by his parents.
Yeah.
They at first think that Gene is making both noises, but Gene would claim that, the second voice was coming from the doll. along with giggling and other strange sounds, which I'm sorry, any haunted object that starts giggling, I'm immediately out.
Well, we always talk about it. Kids are so freaking creepy.
They are.
If we had a kid and the kid said the doll did it, the doll fucking did it. The doll did it.
Oh, yeah.
That doll, I'm calling. I don't know who I'm calling.
That kid would walk all over you because you believe anything anybody says anyway.
Mom, the doll did it. Burn the doll. Wait, no, you're not supposed to burn it. I don't even know. Put it in a glass case. Give it to Zach Baggins.
Oh my God, no. The one man on this planet who should not hold haunted items. Well, 90% of his haunted items are fake anyway.
I'd give it to like Greg and Dana.
Right? Much better people.
Yeah.
Like we said, so he's, blame the doll for odd things that are happening around the house. Parents think he has an overactive imagination. And then one night, Gene wakes up and Robert went from being tucked in next to him to sitting at the end of his bed, staring at him. It's about this time that Gene freaks out. He begins to scream. His parents come running down the hall from their room, and they are hearing just a commotion. They can't get the door open at first, and when they finally get in, the room is just in disarray. Like, furniture is all over the place. Toys are all over the place. And
how old is he at this time?
He is probably around like 10 or 11.
Like, he's not moving furniture around.
Right. Now, he could have been, but so... Remember, the parents heard the noise right up until they opened the door. When they opened the door, Gene is curled up in his bed, like recoiled in fear and crying. And the doll is still sitting at the end of the bed staring at him.
And I bet he doesn't just sit, like, how would he sit up on his own?
No, he's full of straw. Right.
That's what I mean. So that's like freaking odd.
Of course, Gene claims that everything was done by Robert. And I think his parents... This was kind of when they started to believe him a little bit.
Yeah, well, they're probably just thinking something's fucked up. Like, if
that didn't get their inclination going, the stuff that started to happen next absolutely would. So now at night, they're hearing somebody walking around the house at all hours, giggling and making noises and moving things around.
Ew.
Other people who come to stay with them, because they own quite a large house. They're really wealthy, so they have a lot of guests. Some even who look at the doll suggest that when people other than the family would look at it, the facial expression would change from that smirk to more of like a scowl.
Ew.
What I don't understand, right, is that Gene was obviously terrified of the doll that night, but he cannot get rid of it. He keeps this doll literally his entire life.
Well, he probably can't get rid of it.
I don't think he probably could have. I think it's one of those things where it's like it's that object has now chosen Robert, and even if Robert did, or chosen Gene, like I don't think Gene had much of a choice.
They probably threatened to like kill him or something.
Gene is a little bit of an eccentric person though, so he becomes an artist in life, and like having
don't you think you'd become eccentric if you had a doll that was fucking doing all this shit?
But it kind of seemed like his lifestyle, like strange artist, he's got this doll, whatever. After his parents die, he actually moves back into his childhood home that they still owned with his new wife, Anne. Anne, much like Kara, is super uncomfortable with this doll.
Okay, but
does not like it. Hold on. I know why you're uncomfortable with it. You have to hold on to the end for people who don't know the story, because we're going to get into it.
No. What I was going to say is, I don't think I could marry Aaron if he had a doll that he like still slept with and loved. And like, I understand I have a blankie that I sleep with. I get it. But it's not like a doll that I'm carrying around and like talking to.
It's very strange.
I can't even believe somebody would marry him.
Now, I don't think he was like talking to it as much at this point.
I don't know.
Anne didn't like it, but she couldn't really like put her finger on why.
Because it's a grown man with a doll.
Gene solved the problem by making it so Anne didn't have to see him anymore by giving Robert his own room.
Yeah.
So they placed him in his room on a chair in front of a window so he could look out and overlook the street.
Creepy as fuck.
Okay. It gets worse because now the neighborhood.
Wait, can you imagine? Yeah, I was like, can you imagine being in the neighborhood and looking at someone like?
Well, so at first, like the kids were kind of drawn to it, right? But then the rumors started to happen that they would watch them as they went to school and then move from side to side across the window.
Mm-hmm.
Other students even start to claim that the doll would mock them as they walked by.
Oh, yeah, I bet he did.
At one point, though, like the kids start completely avoiding even walking around their house. But one of the kids tells Gene and Anne, right? Like somebody tells them. And Jean's like to Anne, like, oh, this kind of happened to the house when we were kids. Like, why are you so annoyed? It's just Robert, blah, blah, blah. Anne's like, I'm done, dude. That thing's got to go. So Jean takes it from the bedroom and locks him in the attic. So once that happened, it's like it calmed down for a minute.
Sorry, hold on. Let's just backtrack for 1.5 seconds. Can you imagine having a house, right? And you have an extra bedroom that you could do whatever your little heart desires, but no, it is left for a doll.
It was Jean's painting room, so he did use it for his art, and maybe Robert was his muse. We don't know.
Oh my God.
Okay, so it calms down once it's in the attic for a little bit until Jean and Anne have guests over one night, and they start to hear giggling and footsteps coming from the attic. Like he's kind of like running around in circles. So neighborhood kids come to get Jean and Anne again, and we're like, hey, we're starting to kind of see Robert in the window again, but like also different windows. Like he's like literally running around this house at night. I'm actually
surprised that the kids are even going to the house. I would never go to the house.
Somehow they were talking to Jean.
I wouldn't talk to Jean.
I kind of feel like as eccentric as Jean is made out to be, he was maybe the one talking to the kids. Like he seems to have an affinity for this doll. Like, let's find out
that makes a little bit more sense, because I can't see these kids going up to him and being like, "Hey, your doll's in all the windows." Right. I'd steer clear of him and his goddamn house and doll.
So Anne is like pissed though, right? And Jean's like, "There's no way this is true. We locked him in the attic. Like, let's go take a look." They open the attic. Robert ain't in there.
Shut the fuck up.
They go to the painting room / Robert's bedroom, and guess who's sitting on the chair looking out the window?
Little fucker.
Fucking Robert.
You know what? Here's the thing. Let me stick up for Robert. He didn't want to be in the attic, would you?
See, here's my deal, and this is going to come up time and time again. I don't think Robert likes being locked anywhere.
He doesn't. Would you?
No, not at all.
We should all feel bad for Robert. He just wants to be outside with the kids. Actually, you know what Robert wants to be? He wants to be like stoop kid. Stoop kid's afraid, but he just wants to sit on the stoop and just make fun of all of the kids that walk by.
Which I can't
just
blame
let
him.
Robert live his life. Right?
That sounds like a pretty fun time.
You know
to
what?
me.
Maybe I identify more with Robert than I thought.
See, you're gonna come out differently from this story. You know who doesn't change their mind though is Anne. So after the dinner party thing, after the kids again seeing that like run across different windows, she is like, "I'm done." Yeah. Okay. So Anne's pissed, right? So like she's fed up. She's like, "Put that thing back in the attic."
I'm sure she said, "Get rid of it," right? And he was like, "No."
Probably.
If I were her, okay, because
we don't have a lot of direct quotes from them.
Yeah.
So and here's the deal with all the research. Once again, down in the show notes. Different articles say different things at different times. We put it together the best we can, but it's a lot of stories that have been told and told and told.
Well, and this is from so long ago.
Right. Well, this is so, I mean, he got it in 1905, but he's married now, right?
Yeah, never mind.
He escapes again and again and again from this attic.
You know, if I were Anne at this point in my life, I would really rethink what my decision was marrying Jean. But at this point, it is what it is. And I really do think that I would dedicate something for him.
Well, she did.
Okay.
What she dedicated to him after her final straw was a trunk, a locking trunk.
No, that's not what I meant.
In 1974, right? So 69 years of this doll running around the same house. Anne locks him in a trunk and puts him back in the attic.
Do you know how long that they were married? Like how long she was dealing with this?
I don't know. They were younger because I feel like, if I remember right, his parents passed away in 1917 and 24.
So I'm just thinking of like how long she dealt with this before she put him in a trunk.
So let's see. So she puts him in the trunk in 72. He got him in 1905, so 68, and Jean was probably about 20. So about 48 years she dealt with this.
The fuck?
Okay, so it was 1972, and just 2 years later, Jean actually passes in 1974.
Yeah.
You know, and lives a couple more years, I think 2 or 3 more years, right? The doll doesn't do a thing. It's locked up in its trunk. Okay, when I say he doesn't do a thing, I mean this doll is stewing, okay? Because now he's angry.
Did they have kids?
They did not that I know of.
Okay, I didn't think so.
I don't think they do. I think Robert was sort of their kid.
His kid, yeah.
So 2 years after Anne passes, though, the house sells to Myrtle Ryder. And Myrtle has a 10-year-old daughter.
Oh.
And they love going through this house because they're finding all sorts of treasures. Remember, Gene was
trinkets,
a eccentric
artist. Yeah.
So they love finding all the stuff that's around the house. The paintings and, like you said, trinkets, all that kind of stuff. And then they go through the attic one day.
Oh, God.
And Myrtle and her daughter find a cute little doll dressed up like a sailor, chilling in a trunk. Myrtle's daughter immediately is delighted with this toy and loves it and quickly, starts spending a lot of time with it. That's until she started to tell Myrtle that this doll's actually alive and it wants to hurt me.
Mm-hmm. But, don't you think, I don't know, I guess I would just think that he'd be so happy that this little girl found him and
One, I think there's something, I think, about his connection to Gene.
Yeah.
He did not like being separated from Gene. And now
Gene's dead. Okay, so What do you want?
Ooh, that's one thing. I wouldn't talk bad about the Ottos.
I'm not talking bad about it. I'm just saying he's dead. He died.
True.
He can't help that.
Robert doesn't like to hear those things, though.
I'm sorry, Robert.
Okay, so then it's not only the daughter having these issues with Robert, because Myrtle holds a dinner party, and guess what they hear?
Myrtle, you shouldn't have did that.
Giggling and running around and all sorts of footsteps throughout the night. And then Robert starts to move on his own from room to room again. Now, just like Gene and his family and Anne, right? This thing is terrorizing them. It's threatening to hurt the daughter. They keep it for 20 years. 20 years.
He has a very strong hold on that house, too.
Yes.
It's yeah.
So in 1994, they sell the house, and Myrtle donates the doll that they claimed was a haunted doll to the East Martello Museum in Key West, which is actually where Robert still is to this day. So he's been there now for almost 30 years. Well, yeah, 30 years now. It is 24. Where he's gained the reputation of being the most haunted doll on the planet. Okay. If we go back really quickly to his history, right? At first, he's kind of like a little trickster. He likes to mess with kids and others in the house. I would say he's pretty childlike and playful, right? Like mocking, that's still like a childlike spirit thing to do.
Yeah.
But he seems to have this penchant. He loves chaos. He likes creating fights, right? The whole disbelief where Gene's parents didn't believe that it was the doll messing things up and Gene would get in trouble. Or causing tension between Eugene and his wife. Then, he's in this chaos of always acting out during dinner parties or telling this young girl he wants to hurt her. So he's got a little bit more than just trickster to him.
Yeah.
Now, if Robert didn't like being in a trunk for 2 years, he is certainly not going to love being locked in a temperature-controlled, UV filtering glass box in the middle of a single room of a museum.
Yeah, no. But, okay.
Now, the museum had to take some precautions because they didn't want this little shit. Sorry, Robert. They didn't want this little man running around their establishment messing things up. They also want to, though. I think it's cool, though. They want to preserve him. That's why there's the UV filtering and the temperature control. Because, this thing, he's filled with straw and is 117 years old.
Yeah, but he can survive fucking everything. I'm sorry, did I miss how did he get there?
When Myrtle sold the house, they donated him to the East Martello Museum.
Okay.
So instead of locking it up and saying, hey, this is the next person's problem, they donated it as a haunted object. And the Martello Museum is in an old fort in Key West. So it's the history of Key West. I
wish I knew the guy's name that we met that works at the hauntedkeywest.com is what it is. It's hauntedkeywest.com/Robert-the-doll. Because we talked to him for a little bit and I was just and he goes, it's not even that bad. And
that link is actually down below in the show notes. So
okay,
I use that for some of our information.
I wish I knew that guy's name that we talked to.
Yeah, he was really cool. He was interesting.
He was really nice.
He quickly becomes a huge tourist attraction, right? They're claiming that he is the most haunted doll in the world. People begin to visit him, and then they experience unexplained phenomena. So Anthem Room Workers have heard demonic laughing. They've seen his facial expressions change, especially if anybody talks bad about Gene or the Otto family. His eyes and his head would watch patrons move around the room.
Which you guys have to stop and look at what he looks like, because he doesn't look what you think he'd look like.
No.
So when we're saying his facial expressions move and stuff,
his mouth is stitched on.
Yeah, when you
move.
look at him, you're like, wait, I don't even understand what you mean by his facial expressions move, because he almost doesn't even look like he has any facial expressions.
And like his eyes following you, they're literally just hard plastic dots.
Yeah, they're all black. They're not. There's not even like a pupil.
The other thing that I think is
or
really creepy, if you look, he actually has nostrils too. Like there's holes.
Yeah, he does have little nostrils.
Okay, so one of the creepiest things I think though is some of the workers, when the museum is closed and they'd come to open the next day, Robert's hand would be up and on the glass as if he's pushing on it, trying to escape.
That's actually really sad.
And also terrifying. People who are in that room at the museum will sometimes feel their legs and knees being touched. They also say if you look closely, sometimes his chest would rise and fall as if he's breathing.
Oh.
And then there's the more sinister side to Robert. So he might be behind glass, but Robert is not done messing with people.
Mm-mm.
So there's one rule when you visit Robert the doll.
Yep.
And that is that you are not allowed to take his photograph without first asking him for permission.
Correct.
And why is that, Kara?
I'm not talking anymore about him.
So the reason being is he has a long-standing track record where if you do not ask for permission and you do take a photo or a video, that Robert will actually curse you.
Yeah.
And there's kind of a lot of evidence to back it up. So from people who have photographed him without asking for permission, here's some of the following things that have happened. Broken bones, divorce, missed flights seems to be really popular because a lot of travelers come to see him. Being burned, car windows being busted out, bags disappearing, things from people's bags disappearing, and then a feeling of just being constantly watched with unease and anxiety after.
I have got a good one for you.
Oh, yeah?
Since I'm repping their merch, Sam and Colby did their little messing with our wonderful friend Robert the doll, and they did exactly what you're not supposed to do to see what would happen, and then Colby got ball cancer.
There's a lot of cursed and haunted objects that I really straight up don't believe in, like Dybbuk boxes or anything in Zach Bagans' museum. But this one, there's enough stories that... There
were so many comments to Colby that it was Robert that gave him cancer. An influx of and it was crazy. And you can't really prove any of this.
No.
But people were like, no, it was Robert.
And that's kind of one of the things I was going to say in here too, is a lot of the curses do seem to be something that just kind of run in the mill bad luck, but it happened so close to people's encounters with him.
Yeah.
So we'll get into some stories in a minute of ones that are it's harder to say they're unrelated, but there are ways you can lift the curse. So just in case anybody has already done this, or if you're planning to go visit, make sure you bring some candy and leave it as an offering.
Oh, he loves candy.
Apparently he likes joints too, but the museum isn't so fond of people leaving those behind.
Oh, so just leave candy.
Now, if you do happen to upset him, you can lift the curse by writing to and apologizing to Robert and asking for his forgiveness. And that should usually fix your bad fortune.
It might.
So you, like we said, you can still visit him. You can go try to take his picture if you want. But when you're there too, you can read the hundreds and hundreds of letters of people apologizing to him. So I've got 2 letters for you.
Yeah, which is crazy that people actually, there are actual, they mail letters to him.
At least 3 a day he receives at this point.
Which okay. It's not mind blowing that people write him letters. That doesn't blow my mind.
Doesn't blow you.
What blows me is that people actually really go there. They pay money to go to this museum, right?
Yeah.
So they go there. So whether their spouse or whatever they believe or whatever, they're just going you know what I mean? They go there to fuck with him or to be like a macho fucker, don't believe in him or whatever it is. It blows my mind that many people fuck with him.
I think part of it, though, is that he is in a historical museum and not a haunted museum.
I guess that is true.
So you have a lot of people coming through who aren't going to believe in it. And then it's like you said, the macho, oh, I'm going to take the picture. It's not going to do anything to me. And it also seems like a lot of people just after visiting preemptively write him a letter in case they have accidentally pissed him off.
I think I would.
All right. So do you want to hear a couple of the letters and stories?
Yes.
The first one is a little bit of a story, and then we'll get to their letter. But it's a couple who went and visited him. The wife believes, the husband does not, and they snap a picture. Okay.
No, wait, I'm so sorry. They just snapped the picture. They didn't ask?
They didn't ask.
Okay.
Robert, we're sorry if you felt disrespected by our visit Friday night. We should have taken our time with you far more seriously. While traveling home the next day, we experienced serious delays and the airlines lost our bag. While this has never happened to me or my wife before, we kind of thought it was maybe just coincidental, but as time gone on and our luck has gotten worse, we've realized we may have upset you.
No.
Hopefully you can accept our apology and help our bags find their way back home. Thank you, Chris and Murphy. Okay, so that's
I like how
one.
he writes the letter.
Oh, yeah. Well, because he's the one who didn't believe. Chris was like, Murphy, you better write that letter right now.
Maybe she was Murphy.
Okay, well, I don't know which one's which, but... All right, so the next one is a story, and this came from Howard on TripAdvisor. It's a really, really long story. He gave far more details than anybody needed, but I cut it down. So he's now talking about right when he took the picture. So as I snapped a picture, I looked at my camera and it said, no images. All of the 50 plus pictures we had taken while in Key West were suddenly gone.
Ooh.
We were parasailing the next day, Howard said. The boat captain took a video of us in the air. When we got back home, the disc was blank. We went to a camera store, and they could find no reason why our pictures were gone and why the disc was blank. I've also been hearing some strange noises during the night since I've been back home. To all who may read this, please listen to the nice lady at the front desk at the museum, and then in all capitals, ask Robert's permission if you want to take his picture.
Did he write an apology letter, though?
I'm sure he did after that.
Okay. Oh, I'm glad that at least when he parasailing, they were okay.
Oh, right. Okay. So in case you're wondering if you can get around the curse with a video, we have another
I'm
letter.
not wondering.
Dear Robert,
nobody listening is wondering.
I am so sorry my daughter took a video of you. She was trying to be polite, but I still think she may have offended you.
Oh, no.
That night, she threw up for no reason, and I had a disc in my neck that slipped and have been in pain for constant weeks. Please accept our apologies, and if you are causing our pain, please consider to lift the curse. In all sincerity, Laura and Carolyn.
Oh, she was trying to be polite.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit.
All right, I got one more letter and one more story. So we'll hit the letter first, story last.
Okay.
This one goes, Robert, I just wanted to let you know that I, unlike my friends, have total respect for you. When I questioned your powers last fall, I missed my flight from Miami and nearly missed an important court date. This weekend, when I related my tragic tale to my friends, they openly questioned whether you even existed, much less the powers of your revenge. Or your powers of revenge. Well, the next day, one of them had a flat tire, and the others were trapped in traffic on Interstate 90. Perhaps now they understand. I fervently hope they will cease their mockery. Maybe even some will venture to your wonderful home and pay you a friendly visit. In the meantime, let me just say that I appreciate your attenuation. I don't even know what that word means. Your attenuation of Tropical Storm Faye, and hope that the other denizens of Key West are appropriately grateful. Sincerely, Chris from Illinois. So the tropical storm had missed Key West, and he was saying to Robert, thank you for not letting it. All right, the final one. This is a story. So I take a picture of him and send it to all my friends via Snapchat to show that I was the bravest kid in my generation. With my photo taken, we hurriedly finished our visit and returned to the hotel. The next day, the day of our big departure, We don't have breakfast because of a lack of time. We pack our bags and climb into the car to the Miami airport where we will take a plane to France in the afternoon. At 11 o'clock in the morning, we come across a Wendy's. So we stop there to eat, we sit down, order, wait, receive and eat our food, and leave. When we get back to the car, we're shocked to find it in a really abnormal state. All the windows are broken except the front one. There's glass inside and around the car, as much as you can imagine. Meaning that the windows had not only been broken, but they looked like they had exploded from the inside out, not smashed from the outside in.
Oh.
Even more disturbing, our suitcases are intact. My headphones that were on the back seat are still in the same place that they were when I left them. We weren't robbed. We weren't carjacked. Nothing was stolen. The windows simply exploded. All at the same time, it seems, as if Robert himself somehow did it.
Yeah, because you, number one, didn't ask permission. Number two, you put it on Snapchat for like hundreds, maybe thousands of people to see without permission. You fucking fool.
Yeah, so, I mean, those are just a couple of them. Like I said, there's hundreds of letters there, but our boy Robert is still messing with people to this day. So I guess I wanted to know, obviously I know you're not going to be one who takes a picture, but do you think he is a trickster? Do you think he's evil? What do you think he is?
I'm going to tell you exactly what I think he is. Or I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. Why I don't like talking about Robert is because you just never know, right? He's like a little bit temperamental.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like he's just very fragile. He's a very sensitive little man, and that's okay, Robert. It's okay. So I'm not afraid of Robert per se, but like, it's just like one of those things where it's like, you know, the bully down the street, I ain't gonna mess with. I'm just not gonna mess with Robert. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with him. I'm not gonna mess with him. No, I don't know. I think Robert, there's definitely somebody needs to figure out Robert's story. We need to like talk to Robert somehow. But I think that he probably had a tragic life when he was alive. I think that he's a soul, probably a kid that found the doll and liked the doll.
That was kind of my thoughts, you know.
Resided in the doll. And I think that
he wanted to stay at the toy store.
And maybe he wanted to stay at this toy store. Maybe he just wanted to be like loved. But I think that I think that ultimately he just wanted to be a kid. I think he wanted to be alive, if you will, and like not locked
and
up
do
and
his
not
own
punished. Thing. And he's a kid, and he's probably a small kid, right? So he's like a little kid doing mischief, doing like, you know, mischievous little things. And then as time progresses and he's locked in a room, locked in a freaking attic in a trunk, like, yeah, your attitude is going to progress because what the hell?
So I kind of have two thoughts on it. One is total agreement with you, right? Like he's gotten angry as he's been locked up and now this curse comes into play. But the other thing to think about is when Myrtle donated the doll to the museum, she said this is a haunted doll. The museum ran with it and said this is the most haunted doll in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now things were happening, but like the curse, nobody was having bad fortune from the doll before that point. Remember, Myrtle had it for 20 years. Gene had it for a lot longer. He had it for 69 years. So do we think that Robert is actually creating the curse, or do you think this is almost like a second layer haunting, more of like the intentional haunting from all the negative psychic energy people have had?
Yeah, no,
either that it's creating that second layer or it's feeding him.
I think it's feeding him because I think it's just like us. Like, you know, I tell you every single day of your life, Zach, you're a piece of shit. Zach, you're a piece of shit. Zach, you're a piece of shit. Right. You're going to think that you're a piece of shit and it's going to be real.
Manifest myself into shit.
No, but for real. But then you are a piece of shit, right?
Yeah, it becomes self-fulfilling prophecy.
You start being a piece of shit. So you are this evil, crazy, you know, whatever, the most haunted doll in the world. Like every single day, poor little Robert is hurt, like told every day, you're like the most haunted doll and you're going to haunt me and you're going to fuck with me, whatever. And guess what? If I'm a little kid, I guess what? If somebody keeps saying every day, if you mess with him, he's going to fuck with you. I'm going to start fucking with people.
Absolutely.
I'm going to start fucking with people. So actually, I relate more to Robert than anything.
I had never really heard the like whole backstory. I knew that he was at the museum and I knew of the curse and everything, but I just...
Oh no, I knew the gene. And actually, like, Zach, I think that you said that there's like a lot of like stories and threads and newspaper articles and things like that. There's a lot more to how strange Gene was with Robert.
Yeah, he was
like, you could really deep
weird.
dive into how strange it was.
And there's two schools of thought on how he got Robert. So the one is the grandfather story. The other one is more of, I think, the lore that's come behind him now being as famous as he is. But where they were saying that Gene's parents were really authoritarian, not only to Gene, but also to people who worked in the house. And that one of the maids of the home was especially abused by the Ottos. And she also practiced voodoo and then gave the cursed doll to Robert. Now, I did find two places that said that, but there was one source that totally refuted that and said, we actually do know it came from the Steve Company. And then it was a window display and came from his grandfather. And that is actually from the people who still own Gene's house, which is rentable. It's called the Artist's House. So I'm going to trust their research over some, because some of the other sites that were saying that were like obviously set out to make it as terrifying as possible. Yeah.
And I feel like I've actually heard both stories, but I think I do resonate more with the grandpa buying it. But no, I think Gene's just a little kid that found a doll that he liked to be in, resonated with him.
But the one thing I can't figure out is like, it seems to have picked Robert. His grandfather was drawn to the toy from a window, and then it made its way from Germany to Key West. Unless Robert really just wanted to see the ocean. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're a wandering, traveling little soul, you kind of know things, right? So maybe he could feel, oh, you know what? You have a grandson. Pick me type of deal. Like, I don't know. Pick me. Choose me. Pick me. But no, I don't know. I think that I would ultimately really want to take a picture of Robert, to be honest, like, because it's Robert the doll. Like, holy shit. Right. I would ask nicely and leave some candy, though. Yeah, I don't know if I would actually do it. I don't think that I would do it. But if I were like with you or whatever and you did it, I would definitely. I was just going to say, you wouldn't do it because you'd be telling me exactly how to apologize, what to leave, and how to take the picture. Yeah. Then I would be taking the picture and you would be telling me how to line it up so that it's a perfect shot because. Yeah. And I would be like, hey, Robert, is it okay if Zach takes the picture? I'd still ask for you, even though you would ask yourself. Yeah. I'd be like, we're going to take the best picture of you, Robert, and we will not share it on social media. Or can we? No. No. Anyways, though, if you want more, there are tons of stories out on Reddit. Apparently TripAdvisor, you can Google some of the letters and stuff. It's actually pretty interesting. But that is the story of America's most haunted toy, Robert the doll. Robert. Your favorite. Which I apologize to Kara before because I know she's like, I don't even want to say terrified of, but you just have this reverence for. Okay, here's the thing. You know, like haunted paintings. There are like 5, we'll call it 5, really well-known haunted paintings. They're so haunted that you research them, things could happen. There's other dolls that have that same thing too. But there's also, same with Robert the doll. Sometimes people talk about Robert the doll, not even ever meeting him or ever seeing him, and he gets upset about it. It's a spirit, right? And they're not drawn to the same sort of plane we are, where it's like, you have to be right in front of him talking about him for them to sense that. So, well, right. And this is why I would just. So what we're going to say is thank you, Robert, for letting us tell your story. Yeah. We're sorry if we offended you in any way. We didn't ask one day to tell your story. To visit you and bring you an offering. That's okay. We're apologizing. I would want to visit him, though. I would go see him, and I would for sure bring him candy. Does it say what his favorite candy is? It did not. But it sounds like we have another place on our haunted road trip that we need to do. I would say like a lollipop. There you go. Like just from like when he's from, like the time, like I feel like a lollipop. Right. I was thinking more of like a peppermint or butterscotch, early 1900s. Here's the thing. I'm going to bring him every fucking piece of candy that I could find. just so you have all the bases covered. I'm going to get one of them big Halloween assortment bags of just everything. And I'm going to leave every part of it. Safe bet. All right. Well, that's all I got for you. If you guys have had any experiences with Robert, let us know. Have you been haunted or cursed? Did you have to write a letter? We want to know all about it. Send us your letter, actually.
Actually, do you know what? I think we should write a letter. I'm not even fucking kidding.
All right, we're gonna write a letter as soon as this wraps up. You guys write us while we're writing the letters.
Do we have to actually mail it, or can we email it? They mail?
We'll mail it. I have stamps. We're good.
No, I'm not fucking kidding you. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Before you write your letter, see us out.
Robert, we're sending you a letter. Don't you even worry. We love you. We appreciate you. Can I put candy in it?
Do it.
All right. Yeah, Robert, we love you. We appreciate you. We're so thankful that you let us tell your story. And we hope everybody else researches Robert. And we feel the same way. We love him. He's great. But most importantly, creep it really, oddballs.
Goodbye.
Bye.